This documentary is on the environmental preservation during the Industrial Revolution. This began in the late 19th century with the expansion of the railroads and the rise of large corporations, causing destruction to the western plains and increased pollution of land and water. There were three people in particular who fueled the reforms made during this time. Those people are President Theodore Roosevelt, John Muir, and Gifford Pinchot. Let's begin with Theodore Roosevelt. In response to the threats of land and water pollution, a complex environmental movement emerged, supported by President Roosevelt. John Muir was one of Theodore Roosevelt's main advocates in terms of environmental preservation. He was the founder of the Sierra Club and advocated preservation of natural resources from use. Muir and the Sierra Club also fought many battles to protect Yosemite and the Sierra Nevada, the most dramatic being the campaign to prevent the damming of Hetch Hetchy Valley within Yosemite National Park. Gifford Pinchot, a forester, called instead for conservation, the proper use of natural resources. He served as president of the National Conservation Association for 15 years. Together, environmentalist advocacy of different types led to the establishment of the National Park Service by Congress in 1916, and the preservation of areas including Yosemite and Yellowstone. Natural resources were most heavily exploited in the West, though all of the United States was affected. This is a map of the migration of people to the West. With a growing population came growing pollution. As for the specific dates of the acts, there was the Newlands Act in the year 1902, the Inland Waterways Commission in 1907, and the National Conservation Commission of 1909. All of the acts took place mainly in the Progressive era. Even though these acts were taking place then, Roosevelt's administration created an environmental conservation movement whose words and actions continue to be heard and felt throughout the nation today. For example, the Newlands Act created irrigation projects for the arid lands of 20 states in West America. The Inland Waterways Commission was put in place for a lot of states in America, but one of the main states was Mississippi. Also, this commission was set in place to improve and control most of the river systems of the United States. As for the National Conservation Commission, it was put in place to protect all natural resources throughout all of America. Though, also President Roosevelt invited representatives from Canada and Mexico to the North American Conservation Conference so that international conservation issues could be discussed. So how did this end? Well, it didn't. Despite the efforts taken and the national monuments saved, parts of America have become a desolate wasteland of filth, containing more than enough people who could not care less about the state of our planet.